basically we're going to go over what Microsoft Copilot is, what type of language model it is, what it uses, how it integrates to Windows 11, and then how you can do AI editing. What Randy is going to go over is the O365 version of Copilot, how it can be used for academic and administrators, and then what other AI offerings that Lone Star sort of offers, what we have either through a subscription or built into an actual OS. All right, so Copilot. So Copilot is a LLM, large language model. So basically what it uses is ChatGPT-4, and it also uses Microsoft's its own LLM model as well, but it uses both. If you heard about Apple's Apple Intelligence, it uses strictly ChatGPT-4, but Copilot uses a little bit different. So Windows 11. So with Microsoft Windows 11, they're pushing with anything else out there. Pushing AI. So with Microsoft, how is it going to look different for you? If you have Windows 11, you might have noticed the Copilot icon. What that does is basically it kind of embeds itself into the OS. What it would do is help you obviously draft, check grammar, draft notes, take down simple tasks as calculations and things like that. So it's not too much different from a current LLM that's out there, right? The most people have talked about is ChatGPT. So it does similar products. So what makes it different from with Microsoft Copilot? That is more integrated into the environment that you're in. So you got Microsoft Edge, it's built in. You have Windows 11, it's being built in. So you can be able to do things that ChatGPT cannot. For instance, because it can't reach across the aisle and work with your Windows machine, right? ChatGPT cannot do that. If you use Google Gemini, that cannot do that as either. So there's kind of a divider between what you're currently using as a machine versus the LLM. So there's kind of a room. So Copilot is going to kind of break that integration down to even be more integrated. So that's going to be a plus. So a lot of our tools that we use is Microsoft related. So that's going to help us kind of not having to switch over or copy paste. It's going to be built in, so it's going to be much easier, smoother experience using Copilot. So if you ever use Copilot, if you use it now, you can go to Office 365 and sign in, or you can go to the Copilot button and it's going to ask you to sign in. So when you sign in, if you sign in with your Lone Star account, you're going to be prompted with, is this work or is this personal? With work, it handles things a little bit more different, right? So it's using your account, so it has strict rules of what it can do with the work account versus the personal account. So you just got to kind of keep note on that. Personal accounts, you can, and even with the work accounts, it will have like a chat history, so you can save all that stuff. But personal accounts is used a little bit different than work accounts. So if you do go into the web, and you can see on the right, it says work or web, and here's some of the functions that you can do with the work and the web options. So I kind of talked about it a little bit about integration, Copilot being integrated with our laptops, our desktops, and things like that. Why is it being integrated? How is it being integrated? Well, it's being integrated within the Windows OS, right? So as you can see with with e-commerce and commercial, with laptops, with phones, like for instance, the iPhone, the newest one is going to have the Apple Intelligence in there, right? But it doesn't apply it to all of the iPhone lineup. Same thing with the Windows laptops. When Copilot gets full-fledged and fully integrated, you'll start seeing like their keyboard will have a dedicated Copilot button, right? But that's just, outside looking into it, right? But what's inside the actual laptop itself or the device, right? It's an NPU. So they're making specific chips to handle instructions from AI, right? So a computer machine, desktop, laptop, what does it have in the inside? One, it has CPU, that's the brain, right, of the device. A GPU handles the graphics, right? So if you have a gaming machine or you're doing a program that's doing either esports or game design, a GPU, a strong GPU is needed. So same thing. This is the NPU is more specialized, working with AI. So the newer chips, Intel, AMD, Apple Silicon, NVIDIA, are incorporating and investing more on NPUs. So if you read or heard, NVIDIA is the most profitable company worldwide, right? How did they get that way? Because obviously the AI boom put them in that position, right? So it's kind of like that gold rush. Everybody's trying to do it. Everybody's trying to do that fast, but the hardware is what's important. That's why you can't necessarily do AI tasks on any device, right? Obviously, you can go to ChatGPT or even Copilot online on a website and just type in commands. But if you want that fully integration, you got to have the hardware to do it, right? All right, so one of the cool things that Copilot does is it gives you the ability to create images, right? So the image on the right with the space moon, that was done on Copilot. I just took a screenshot of that. So here's the thing with AI, right? As of right now, it's all obviously it's in its infancy, right? So everybody's trying to learn what it is, what it can do for them, how to use it, and how to use it correctly, right? So it's kind of like the wild, wild west right now. Everybody's kind of getting their foot in. It's only been 2 years at most that the AI explosion has happened. But just like Google or web searching back in the days, it's how you search, right? How you search is going to determine how well it's going to work for you. Because you can go in there and Google something right now. It's like, hey, like today I was Googling something about an AV receiver, right? I had a question I wanted to troubleshoot. So how I input my question into Google search is going to determine the results that I get back. So if my Google foo is strong, I can find what I'm looking for. If I just put, a receiver doesn't turn on and, just leave it at that, I'm going to get a huge amount. So I have to put the model number. I got to put, what's connected to it, things like that. I got to use the, question marks to limit, hey, you got to focus on this model number or something like that. So that's going to be something similar to Copilot or any AI chat, is that how you ask the question and have a conversation with it is going to determine the output you're going to get, right? Because you can't go out there and, you hear horror stories. Hey, write me my exam paper. It has to be 4 pages long, and it has to be about that. And they just copy, paste, and they're done, right? That's, being used incorrectly. How I use it sometimes is that if I'm creating a draft, right? I'm going to do a project proposal or something like that. I'm going to create a draft. I write it all out. I pop it in there. Hey, do you see something that I am missing in this area, right? And that will give me considerations, right? To me, that is something that, being focused and doing it correctly because I'm having a conversation, right? So if I would have brought my proposal to a coworker or a person that I wanted to get some advice on, that's what I would ask. Hey, here's my draft. Do you see something that I'm missing, right? So that is basically how you're going to get the most out of the AI chat. So for the picture over here, pictures are even more hard to create because it's basically the imagination. You have the imagination, the other side does not, right? So, they gave me a couple options I was going for, right? Only thing I was create an image of an astronaut golfing on the moon. That's all I put. So it gave me 4 options, right? I'm supposed to kind of pick which one is what I'm going for, right? So on the right, I don't want to see his face and his golf club look like it's bent, right? So I don't want to do that one, right? So I would say, hey, the left looks pretty good, but why is the ball all the way in the air? He's not going to swing it that high. That doesn't make sense. So I would ask him like, hey, I like the top left, but make the ball closer to the ground. So it's a conversation that needs to be had regarding that, right? So the ones in the bottom, I might not like it because the earth is real small. I want the earth to be bigger. It's more of a, better picture that way. So it's a conversation. All right, so Copilot, what does it have for you? So if you go to your Windows machine now, you might have this symbol there. If you don't, you can just click on search, type in Copilot, you should have it there. Everybody is given the free version of Copilot, right? So what does it come with the free version? Well, it comes with these three major capabilities, right? Web rounding. So web rounding is basically, it will search the most modern things on the web now. If you ever go to ChatGPT, it's like, hey, what happened last week? It'll say, sorry, I can only go this far, right? Copilot does not. So it has that capability where it can search real-time stuff. Fundamental capabilities, basically, it understands, obviously, natural language understanding, generative AI, and contextual awareness. So these are the things that's kind of like the foundation, right? Of the Copilot. They're not going to be like, hey, you can use Copilot, here's a free one, but it's going to be so, underclassed that it's not going to work out for them. It will get people frustrated, right? This thing doesn't work right. And then they'll go move on to the competitor. So the free version does have the foundational capabilities. And commercial data protection. It is encrypted. It is private. They do protect your data. All right, Microsoft 365. And 2 weeks.
All right, hello everybody.
Hi, Randy.
Your local neighborhood Spider-Man. No. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out of the PowerPoint. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of hands-on. I want to do a little bit of background first. Alex did a great job with all the information. I don't need this. Related to Copilot. And I want to talk a little bit about Lone Star and Copilot. So right now, with Lone Star's licensing, everybody has the free Copilot version. So the things that he was talking about that you can do for free, everybody has access to that when you log on. But Microsoft is trying to figure out the space of their AI tool. So we call that Copilot. And so right now they're licensing it. So they have 3 versions. So basically right now they have the free version. Then they have Microsoft 365 Copilot, which I'm going to show you today. And then there's one called Studio. And so what you need to know about those are all of the others cost except for the free one that Alex was talking about. And so as an example, the Microsoft 365, the version I'm going to show you today, if we were to get that for all employees, you're looking at about $1.5 million in licensing. So obviously we don't have that today. But there may be some use cases where it's needed and we can buy in bulk and things like that. And that's still being kind of talked about, but maybe today we can understand, maybe if somebody responds to you, Gracia, on some use cases that maybe we need to look at getting licensing. And so what I'm going to show you today is we're actually logged in with Alex's account, but we're going to see a lot of cool stuff about Alex that I hope he doesn't mind sharing. And go from there. A license for the Microsoft 365 Copilot is about $370 per person. And that's per year because they do it like, I think it's like $30-something or $20-something, whatever the math works out to. I know there's math people out there that do that, but anyway, it comes out to about $370 a year per person. So what I have up right now is Microsoft 365. So I want to make a distinction. For Microsoft 365, we're talking about on the web, okay? So we all are used to our apps that we have on our computer, Outlook, all the Office products. And so I'm going to show you a little bit of the differences between those things, but I want you to understand that when today I'm talking about the Microsoft 365 Copilot license. So that means I have to really remain in the cloud to take advantage of some of those things. So without further ado, let me show you some of these. So as you can see on the screen, we have Home Copilot. We have all these various pages, and then we have our apps. And so one of the apps that I really like is Microsoft Teams. And I'll show you a little bit about that. I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to bring up Alex's regular Outlook. I do have his permission. So, okay, so you all should see his Outlook right now. And what you're going to notice is over here, I have a Copilot button. And so that means I have access to Copilot, but it's not going to work exactly like it does in Microsoft 365. So let's say if I wanted to do a new message, as an example. Okay, here we go. I use a Mac, y'all, sorry. Okay, so if you notice right here, it says draft with Copilot. So let's say I wanted to send out an email and maybe I want to thank somebody. So I'm like, hey, you know, Gracia. And I'm going to be kind of direct, right? Gracia, it was nice working with you the other day on that project. And then I'd say, hey. Right? And so that's kind of a nice little, nice quick message. I'm direct, I just want to get that message and let her know how much I appreciate it. But you know what? I thought, man, I'm a kind of direct person. It may not quite go over the way that I thought it would. So let me look at Copilot and see if Copilot has some suggestions that make me look smarter and more intelligent than I am. And see, so now it gives you one that said, hi, Gracia. So notice, I don't think I put that in the first one, hi. I think I just put Gracia. So it said, hey, you should do this. And then I hope this email finds you well. Ooh, that's fun. I just wanted to take a moment to say how much I enjoyed working with you the other day on that project. It was a pleasure collaborating with you, and I truly appreciate your insights and contributions. Let's keep up the great work. Now, that sounds like I actually appreciated somebody. And so now I can decide, do I want to keep it and go ahead and use it? Do I want to discard or retry? Well, that's not quite the language I use, so let's retry and see if you got something else for us, Copilot. And so it kind of does it again. It works its way through. And up here, you can actually see that there are different parts of the message that I can kind of edit or contribute to. But since this isn't my email, and I'm not very appreciative, no, I'm just joking. Not my email. I'm not going to send it. But anyway, I can keep prompting Copilot. So this is just with the license and in the online or on desktop Office, or Outlook. So I'm going to stop that. We're going to go back. Sorry about all the hopping, but I want you to be able to see what we're looking at. So now we're going to go back to Edge, and that's where we left off. And so one of the things that I want you to see is now we're going to go to Outlook on the web. And again, we're bringing up Alex's stuff. And so as you notice, a minute ago, we were on Outlook on the desktop, but it was the new version. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you have this option where you can choose Outlook or you can choose New Outlook. And so we were on New Outlook. And New Outlook, believe it or not, looks just like the online. And the reason for that is because Microsoft is trying to get you used to that look and feel because, believe it or not, Randy says the plan is you'll never be on your desktop apps. You're always going to be in the cloud apps. As a matter of fact, they make it harder for the license that you have to be able to download different apps and things like that, and they make it harder. The cool thing is that when you're in Microsoft 365, like we are now, any update Microsoft provides to their products, you get it right away. Now, one of the things that Alex and I love about this, it's called software as a service, is we were playing with Copilot, and we were playing with the free version, and it had all these cool features. Namely, it had this microphone. So you could click on the microphone and you could say, hey, open Outlook for me, and it would. Well, that was just a preview version of Copilot, and Microsoft said, well, we're done with that because we want to start charging people. And boop, microphone gone. No notification, no announcement. It was just there one day and gone the next. So that's kind of what we get to experience as people start learning about software as a service. And so we go over here, and I wanted to use Copilot. So one of the things that Copilot can do is you can say, how can you help me? And so you do it, and it's going to come up, and it's going to give you some of the things. Oh, look, Alex, I can help you in all these different ways. And so how do you need help today? I'll say, I need a summary of the last email I received from Mario K. Steele. And then I'm going to hit enter. And now notice I am not in Outlook, right? So it's going like what Alex is saying, it's going across the aisle, right? So it's going from the Copilot Online, and it's going through his emails, excuse me, and looking for an email that came from Mario K. Castillo. And so if you look, I don't know, how many of you guys actually read some emails that you receive out there, and some of them that are long, I don't know, you fall asleep, or you, like me, you can actively go through an email and read it and be just fine. Well, not everybody's like that. And I've read this email before, and what I see here is that the last email that he received, Alex did, from Mario was thank you, veterans. And I'm sure all of you guys read this. So when I go over this summary, you're going to realize what it gets right and what it gets wrong, if anything. And so it says it was sent last Monday, and in this email, sorry, it's a little harder. In this email, Mario expressed his gratitude to veterans and highlighted the achievements of Lone Star College in supporting the veterans. Certainly did. He mentioned that the college has earned the Platinum Medallion from the Department of Labor's Higher Event Program. He did say that. And at the GOAT says, which signifies that 10% of new hires and veterans, and that the college maintains at least an 85% employment retention rate for veterans. He did mention that. Mario also announced that starting next year, and I know this for a fact because a lot of veterans came to talk to me about it, veterans will be given Veterans Day off to spend time with their families. He did do that. Then the other part of it says for this year, veterans will be released a day early for the winter break. He did say that. And then he concluded his email with a belated birthday wish to the Marine Corps, which is celebrated its 249th anniversary. He did do that. So if you notice, yeah, he did have a lot of other things in there. Sometimes there's going to be very specific things that Mario, as an author, is going to put in his writing that it may not have picked up on, that you may want to go back. So what I might say is, because we're having a conversation like Alex said a minute ago, I'll say, is there anything else in the email I should be aware of? And so now Copilot's going, I don't know, let me go take a look. Oh, hey, hold up, there's a few more things. And so if you notice, now it says, Mario clarified that the Platinum Medallion is awarded by the Department of Labor, not the Department of Defense. He also emphasized the importance of hiring veterans and encouraged everyone to help veterans transition be successful. Says that he also mentioned that veterans should register with human resources to ensure they're receiving all the resources and recognition. If you read the email, you remember these things are true. He also shared a personal note expressing his commitment to supporting veterans and making decisions to benefit them. And so, as you can see, there's things that I'm able to do from that email. Now, let's push Copilot a little more, right? Let's push Copilot a little more. Let's say, will you,
Just read the-
huh?
You could not use Copilot and just read the email.
Will you put a reminder on my calendar to wish the vets I know happy veterans. Sorry, I'm not capsing or anything. The vets I know happy Veterans Day on Veteran. Okay, let's see what happens. See, so now there's some ways in which you push Copilot and it says, that's not something I can do. So I'll give you an example. One of the things that I did is I went into my email, and I don't know how you guys are, but in my email, I get a bunch of emails from our ticketing. I know y'all don't get this, but from our ticketing system of all the tech work that needs to be done. And sometimes I'm not going to read them because I just know, okay, that's a ticket. And so I don't read it. And so I get like 400 unread emails. And I was like, ooh, Copilot, can you go ahead and just mark them all as unread for me so I don't have to deal with it? And it's like, no, you get to do some of the work today. I'm not going to do it all. So anyway, so you can push too hard with Copilot, and you're going to get out of its stream. And let me explain that a little bit. I think Alex did hit on it. But if I'm in Microsoft Word, the way that the language model was situated is it's primarily geared to Word. It's an expert in Word. It can reach out a little bit to these other areas like you're seeing right here with Copilot, but it's not going to just full bore go into every single minutia. And what's good about that is that if you're in Excel, you're going to know that it knows what it's talking about in Excel, right? And same thing with Word or PowerPoint or anything like that. The problem is, like, we wanted to push it a little bit here. Hey, while I'm reading about this email, I'm encouraged. I'm ready to go and wish the veterans happy Veterans Day next year. But it didn't want to help. It couldn't help me here. So you just got to realize that it can't do everything. And then the one thing I wanted to mention right here, Alex talked about that Microsoft secures your data. So I had a conversation with Microsoft rep, and I said, is that true? And they said, yes, caveat. And the caveat is you have to work with the team for us, OTS, in the background to make sure all the security is set up and that there's no holes in our backbone, right? So in the backside of OTS. And so let me give you an example. Let's say Gracia has some student data. And maybe for some reason, it's very protected. It's not just PII. There's some other things. Maybe she deals with appeals or something. And there's something that she doesn't want to share. But let's say she puts it in her little folder in her departmental SharePoint. Okay? So she's got in her little folder and she's like, yep, it's good. Well, guess what? Anybody that has access to that department and can access her folder also has access to that information. So they could be going in and they could say, hey, I need to know about student so-and-so, pull up the information. And let's say that person is in Gracia's file, it's going to pull up and go, oh, here's all this information, right? So that's beholden to us to make sure that our organization is doing things the right way and that people are trained, because let's say it's all set up correctly, but Gracia is in an area that she didn't realize has more access, people have access to, and now she's inadvertently shared that information. So those are some of the things that we need to be careful of. The other part is there is work and web. So if I'm clicking on work, so let me give you an example, and hopefully Copilot doesn't cause me to. How much is Elon Musk worth? Yeah, 60. Okay, well, it's not supposed to really do that. I may have given it too generic information, but it normally, if you ask it to do something and it's in the work realm, it stays within the work realm, and you actually have to tell it, I need some information from the web. So there is kind of that piece, but as you notice, it does have some superficial things. Now, one of the things that I want to do is I'm right here and I'm in Copilot still, right? I haven't gone into the apps yet. And what if I say, what is, I have to remember I'm Alex, okay? What is my next meeting? And what I like to do is I like to start out kind of generically, right? So I don't like to pin down and get it all tied up. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, when's my next meeting with Randy Sparks? Or what is my next meeting? And so it's going to come up and it should tell me what it is and when. So we must not have an NPU on this machine. Okay, so it does say that my next meeting with Randy, Alex today, is for the Houston North Victor extension topping out meeting is scheduled, and it tells me all that information. But, and it says anything else specific you'd like to know, and there's the calendar item. It says, oh, we have a meeting. Because that wasn't the one I was thinking of, right? That can't be. So it's going to look, it's looking, oh, you do have another one. And it says that we have a core meeting. So now I'm like, oh, I forgot about the core meeting. So then it's like, do I have any action item for the meeting? So now it's going to look and it's going to say, does Alex have anything? And so it's going to go. And what's interesting is that it can see some of the documents that we have access to, and it actually puts them in here, some of the overview. And so it looks like Alex is going to be quite busy in our meeting the next day. So I'm happy for that. But notice it says integration update. Ensure that all required attendees provide their feedback or stats regarding the assigned task related to the AXE integration. Is that accurate, Alex? Okay, so he doesn't know what that is. So that's why we check these things, right? Don't just go with Copilot. Document clarification, provide further details on the AXE integration process and any blockers. Preparation for a stand-up meeting. Additionally, you might want to review these documents. So he really needs to review because he's not even sure what the AXE is. I don't either, so you're in good company today.
Can you write a faculty lesson plan?
Yes, so let's do this. I'm going to go to Word. Clicking here, I want Word. Now, the reason I went that method instead of going to the desktop is remember my license is for 0365, so I have to stay there. So what I want to do is I want to create a blank document. Now, because I have this license and I'm online, there's a couple of things, right? So I have, what do you want to do? Here's some different things. And then I have Copilot here. I like to open up Copilot and have it in the sidecar, right? I like to have it sitting right here for me. And one of the things I do is I will say, hey, okay. All right, now what it's doing, it's creating a draft. I didn't give it any prompts, right? I just said, hey, have this. And so what it's doing is pulling it in, and probably what I should have done is give it some prompts. So what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and it's looking at its document and it's generating all this information. And you see, I'll say it's 198 words. It's 2 pages. Now, let's say, wait for it. And you got a long document there, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. It should be long, right? Okay. So let's stop generating for just a second, right? We don't need to go through the whole thing. But so I was over here, and let's just say I want to keep this part because this is, you know, what it was or whatever. And then I'm going to say, a lesson plan. And we didn't get a lot of information, so I'm gonna say like a 4-week lesson plan, right? Let's plan for instruction. Let's see what it said. Sure, I'd be happy to. Could you please provide me some details about the subject? So it's not really noticing that document on the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, yes, use the, okay, so it's doing it. But because I'm over here in the sidecar, it put everything in the sidecar. One of the things I could do is I could say copy to the clipboard, and then let's just scroll down. This is not the normal way I would do it. This is just a kind of a quick way to do it, right? Here's my Copilot prompt. And then paste. Okay, so if you notice what it did, and we don't know everything about Alex's work, but let's just say right here it says introduction, orientation, purpose and scope, program components, communication plan. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just do a quick file. It's automatically saving it, so I want to change the name to draft lesson plan and info. Right? So let's do that, and then I'm going to say you have a lot of to do. File new. I want a blank document. Okay. There it goes. So now what I want to do is I want to create a 10-question quiz over the information in my. Okay, I'm just going to pick this proposal again and just realize that if I would have been more prepared, you could see it and I could just move on. So I'm going to say, here we go. And so here's the quiz. And you're the expert, Alex. So I'm going to ask you a couple of these questions and see if you think these answers look like they should be showing up. And notice I can do more like maybe I want to, multiple choice with options for multiple answers of the question or something like that. I could do that. But okay, so Alex says question 1, what is the primary aim of the OTS job shadowing program? Is the answer on there? Yes. B, the foster professional growth engagement. So there you go. We just created a test all over the information. And by the way, I wasn't in the document that I did that over, right? So I put it in there. And then the other thing I could do is let's not save this.
So you just hit, how did you prompted it to make?
Yeah, so I prompted it and the prompt, I said make a quiz out of it. I'm trying to, where's my prompt? Let me do that. Yeah, there it is. And so then let's say, now, if you have forms, you can actually make it in forms and it'd be a really good document, but our quiz where it had like the checkbox. But let's say, let's see if Copilot can tell it. I don't want the answers to all be in letter B and all those answers. And it did.
Guess it probably doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's going to be some give and take, and I could sit here, but I want to show you guys some other things. And so, so now I want to go to PowerPoint. and I'm in PowerPoint. I want to blend presentation. Okay, and so now I'm over here and I now have Copilot wanting me to do something. It says, hey, you want to create a presentation about something? I was like, yes, space and the development of things. Okay, so it's created, and I don't know if you see it, but it's in blocks. Here it is. And then I'm going to say generate the slides. Okay, and so now it's going to go through. Potentially, it's going to go through, generate the slides. And what it'll do is it'll have certain formatting to it. It'll even have images. And we'll see how well it does. And then I can actually go into designer mode, and it'll prompt me, hey, do you want to go into designer mode? All right, so it's generating. And here we go. We have our slides. And if you remember, AI doesn't, or Copilot doesn't want to just assume that everything's good to go. So should ask me, say, keep it. Now, if you notice, look, it's got some images here, has images here, and then I can go slideshow and from beginning. And there, so now you see it's got these nice things that it's coming up with. It's already got it kind of marked out for me. Oh, that's cute. You know, all the different rockets there. And then the historical space exploration. So it took my prompt. I said SpaceX. And so it's actually going through space exploration. And now it's going to go to SpaceX. Because remember, I put the history of SpaceX. So see how if you're not very specific with the model, now I'm really getting kind of like two presentations. And so there's some of the difficulties. Of course, you would want to check all of this information. Typically, you're going to be pulling this from your own information, right? So you're going to have a document or you're going to have something that you want to use. So I know that I tend to kind of go over the limit a little bit on things. That was the document. That was the prompt. Before I go any further, I know we got like 6 minutes. Does anybody have any questions? Any guys have any questions? Yes, sir.
I would be interested in, I know we don't have anything set up, but I'd be interested in seeing what Copilot does with Excel.
Excel, okay. So,
Why the only thing I can
Because
think
he
of is
does
spreadsheet.
the budget.
The only thing I can think of is a spreadsheet.
Okay.
Excel.
anybody else have questions while I'm pulling that up?
Anyone in the virtual audience, if you have a question, please unmute yourself and we can hear you in the class.
And so not just budget, I mean, we do a lot of data research on sections and classes and grades and completion and all that. So
So the cool thing about it is, why did it look team? Okay, we'll wait to see what happens. When you get there, oh, see, that's not one teams. Why did it be teams? That's interesting. I clearly did not. It's in my mind, I did.
it's being consistent to me.
See, this is AI taking over the world.
That's how it-
There it is. There it is. Okay, so again, with Copilot, you can come over here and you can say, now it also has some prompts there, if you notice. Ask Copilot, how do I sum values, apply coloring, understand, create formulas, things like that. So earlier I was in a document and I had some information. I'm like, I think that would look better as a table. And I said, hey, convert it to a table. And it's like, okay. And then it made me a table. Something that was better than what I would have. But anyway,
Can I make pivot tables?
what's that?
Can I make pivot?
Let's see. Now, likely, if it won't do it for you because A, we don't have any data in there, or B, it's out of its realm to actually do those steps for you, it will give you the step by step. So let's see what happens. And I don't know if you guys know this, just kind of a side note while we wait. If you're out in Copilot, it's always a good idea if you're in generic free Copilot, it's always good to tell Copilot what it's an expert of. And that way it kind of has an idea of what you're going to, the questions, because then you can just rapid fire questions right after that. So if you notice, it says I couldn't find the data range. And so it says, try selecting the data meets your criteria, then go to see, it's telling you how to do it. Then go to insert and then select table.
I think if there was data, it could do it.
Yeah, it could do that for you.
It just didn't instantly come up and say, I can't support that function. So I'm
Right.
looking for data.
So anyway, it's kind of looking for that stuff, but it thinks it can do it.
But you said this is only, I
So,
can't do this from my app.
You cannot do
I can
this.
only do it from 365.
Correct. There is some limited features in there, but it's the feature rich. It's going to be in M365. And does anybody remember what I told you about Microsoft 365 Copilot licensing?
Yeah.
Free.
It's not free. It costs money. So what I'm going to encourage you guys for the last few minutes is I want you to think about the use cases in your environment. And I would like, can I send them to you or should I send them to you? If you'll send them to Gracia, let's assemble those, and then we'll see if there's some things that we can do where we can start a conversation about use cases of the license for 365. One of the ones, and I didn't get to show you guys on here, and I apologize for that, is you can go into Microsoft Teams meetings, and you can turn on transcribing and recording. And it will gather all that data. So while you're there and you like kind of nod off because that meeting's been going on for 6 hours and it was about something you didn't care about, but they're like, hey, Randy, what do you think about that? And you go, oh, what were the last few minutes that I missed? And it'll actually tell you some of the stuff you missed. And you say, do I have any action items? And it'll give you action items and all that stuff. And then
Be Randy.
don't be Randy. Listen, pay attention to these meetings. But in doing that, what I noticed is that would be a good use case for our disability students or our employees who have disability things that we have to accommodate for. So accommodations. So those are some things that I thought of that you might need it for. One of the things it can do when you're in that meeting is when somebody's talking, you say, hey, can you let's say you came to the meeting late. You can go, hey, I was late to the meeting. Can you let me know what I missed? Can you give me a summary? And it'll do all that. So kind of the same things you saw me asking about the email, it'll do the same thing. So if you have use case ideas, please submit them to Gracia and let's see if we can make some headway in that direction. Do you guys have any questions about what I presented or what I probably should have presented?
I have one more slide.
Okay.
Talk about.
Oh, yeah, I would have. Okay, yeah.
So we do have two other things with AI that you might not know of. If you have a Apple device, so basically same thing with the Windows. We have Apple, and there's their Apple Intelligence. It just recently came out. So if you have a Mac OS with Sequoia. With an M1 or Apple Silicon processor, you should be getting Apple Intelligence. It's similar as where it integrates within the Mac OS ecosystem. So you can say, hey, open up Outlook, or hey, do this, do that. It's built in. But it does that cross functionality with Apple products, along with your iPhones and things like that. Adobe Firefly. So everybody has Adobe licenses. So if you go to adobe.com, go to Adobe Apple Firefly, you can generate photos. And it does a little bit better than Copilot. So it'll do realistic photos instead of cartoonish photos. So for an example, when it does photos, be careful with the eyes and the and hands. They don't
First
do
about the hand, give
Yeah.
like many hands,
it gets,
fingers.
So you're gonna have to kind of talk to them, prompt to do it to redo it. So if you sign in with your account, then you can see it. I'll show you where to go. All that stuff. So there's a text to image. But just like every other company, they're incorporating AI to everything. So Adobe is doing it with Photoshop, Lightroom, and stuff like that. Webex has their own AI chat. So things like that. So you go in here, create,
People walking on the floor.
generate. And then you can select the photo and then you can more into it and things like that.
Wow.
So,
These people work.
so if I,
Yeah, so look at their hands. They got like 4 or 5 hands on them.
yeah, so you gotta be careful what
Two
you,
handshake.
yeah. And then you can select it and then you say, hey, go on more into, make more results of these, things like that. So you can go into it, things like that. But yeah, that's one of the things that, but Copilot doesn't do as realistic as these, but these are pretty cool. So, but yeah, that's all we had.
Awesome. And are there any questions that you guys want answered? And what we'll do is at the end of this presentation, we'll email it. And if you have any questions, Randy and Alex will be CC'd to it. So please respond to them on any questions or any specific trainings that you need. Thank y'all so much.